you're never going to be perfect. So I was like, I'm just going to start now. I'm going to start selling things and figuring it out as I go. And I think that helped me because I learned as I went, and I knew I wasn't going to have a cart yet. I knew I wasn't going to have a brick and mortar yet. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to put up a table and figure it out. Humble yourself, y'all. Like, everybody has to start somewhere, and you got to do it to try, especially with the service and like a product. I needed to see if people even liked the taste of my coffee, or if they even liked the colors of my brand, if they even liked it. And if you like it, of course, that can be great. Your business depends on customers and their opinions and their taste. Like, you got to start somewhere.
So for the other small business owners that employ people, you know, from a business / leadership perspective, what would you tell them to help shape their perspective around building into their team and their people?
Prioritize them, listen to them, really listen to them, take criticism from them. We have all started from the bottom. We were all students at one point. We were all babies at one point. We are not robots. Your employees will mess up. Your employees will be late. Your employees will make you mad, annoy you. These are humans, and they should be treated as such. Have grace, have patience, sit with them, play with them, do life things with them, learn about their families, learn about their struggles, ask them questions. Like, you got to know your team. You have to understand them, and you have to be there for them. Otherwise, they're not going to be there for you in the ways that you expect just because you're paying them. Like, I think people are like, well, I'm paying them, so they need to do this for me. It's like, well, they could quit. Like, you know, have you not worked for someone before? Have you not experienced what it was like to have a terrible boss or a terrible manager? Like, you have. What were the things that you hated? And don't do those things. It is simple. But I think people are selfish in their endeavors, where it's like, well, I'm the owner. I want to make money. I want to do all these things. Like, yeah, duh. We all want that. Like, duh. Like, you don't think I don't want to make money? You don't think I want a successful brand? Like, I do. But at the end of the day, like, these are people, and we should be treating them as people, not as props or like, you know. And I don't know. I think you should just look at it like that. Like, these are not, everyone is like, oh, well, they're not your family. Well, they're not, you know, like, you're a team, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, homie, we're humans. And I think that when you work with people, you got to remember that we're imperfect, and you are imperfect. So you should receive criticism. You should receive hard feedback. You know you're going to make mistakes, and you should own up to your mistakes, and you should admit to them.
Yeah.
For example, my team has been asking me to be more communicative with them about pop-up events, about things that we're doing, because I am an ideas girl, and I always like, okay, we're doing this last minute. I'm so sorry, And they're like, can you be more communicative so we're better prepared? And just recently, I did it again. And I was like, you guys, we're doing this thing. I'm so sorry. It's last minute. It's tomorrow. Sorry. And then I went back and I said, you guys, I am really sorry. I know you asked me to be better at this. And I admit to you that I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about an opportunity for us, but I'm sorry. I'm working on it, and I'm calling myself out, so you don't have to call me out. And this is not going to happen again. And if it does, like, someone smack me in the face. Like, but I had to say I'm sorry, because, like, bro, I messed up.
Yeah.
And I did it again when they asked me not to. But everyone was like, thank you for your apology, and like, let's continue working on it. And like, it made me uncomfortable, and it made me feel really bad, but like, I had to. So I think if you work with people, you got to remember they're people.
That's good. How do you attract good people?
You be a good person. Or you be the best version that you can show up to be that day. I think a good person is an authentic person. So you aren't always going to be a good person, but you can always be an authentic person. But I think authentic people are good people. So you be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get really practical.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Of course.
Let's get super hyper focused on the person who wants to start a cafe. You look back to the last 3 years. Let's get as practical as you're comfortable with,
Sure.
in the sense of like how you built it.
Yeah.
So like, whenever you came here, you landed here, like how much money did you have? How much money did you have to invest of your own money? Did you have help? Like, what were the first couple steps you had to take to get the trailer? And then, like, it can be as practical as you want, but I just feel like the practical stuff is really helpful for people.
Totally. So if you want to start your own cafe, start with a business plan. And that business plan could be 1 page. It could be a whole packet. I'm extra, so it's a whole packet. But like, have a business plan. Write your ideas on a piece of paper. Start there. Because when you want to get a loan, when you want to have investors, if you want to just like show people your idea, they're going to ask for a business plan. So you need to buy business plans for dummies and copy it and do that. And that's what I did. Number 1. Number 2, have some money saved up. At least $10K. That's a good place to start.
Yep.
It's a good place to manage. It's a good place. It's a good goal. If not 5,000, you gotta have money. And I had about 8,000 saved up from tour, and that helped me with, beginning my photo shoot, paying my graphic designer to help me come up with a logo, just time to pay my rent, and to have time to not work on anything else, to not work anywhere else, but to just pay rent, pay your bills, and to have a whole month or 2 months of just sitting at a coffee shop and working on your business plan, learning about things, YouTubing, buying books. Like, there has to be a time period where you're just like throwing yourself into knowledge. That's YouTube. That is Instagram, TikTok, going to free seminars, resources. Like, when I became attached to the idea that I was going to do this, I spent 3 months of research, just research, reading. Like, I treated it almost like an exam, because it's like, if you're going to study for this class, you're going to try and pass this thing, like, you got to then study. If you're going to open a business, you got to study.
Yep.
So I did that. I did as many free mentorships as I possibly could. Score.com is a huge resource for business owners that have there's free college classes, there's free marketing courses, there's free mentors. I did everything that I could possibly do that was free. The library has amazing resources for coffee shops and business owners, food trucks, things like that, that is free.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing. And so I said business plan, research, networking. Business plan, research, networking. Majority of all the opportunities I have had is because I've networked the shit out of it. I have gone to every event. I have put myself out there. I have shaken hands with people that I'm like, you might help me in the future. I might need to pick your brain. But it's all about who you know, because, and if you don't know a lot of people, start introducing yourself to a lot of people. I give this word of advice to a lot of my social media people, a lot of business owners. I say, in your notes app on your phone, write down 1 or 2 paragraphs of, hey, I'm Jackie. I am in pursuit of creating a coffee shop. I don't know anything. I have a few questions. Can I pick your brain? This is my phone number. This is my email. Let me know if you have some time to meet up for coffee. Copy and paste and DM every single person under the sun that you want to work with. 4 will bite. 2 will bite. someone will say, sure, let's meet up. Wow. Have coffee with them, write all your questions down and ask. So networking is going to be key. It's all who you know. And I learned that from show business. It's really all about who you know. And if you're afraid to do that, girl, you got to get over it. You got to get over it because people will help you. People will give you resources that you will have had never known unless you had asked.
Yep.
So business plan, research, networking. Very practical, easy steps. Those are the 3 steps I highly recommend, and that's what I did.
So you started with a trailer.
Yes. I started with a table.
A table.
And then the trailer.
So like maybe talk us through I would assume brick and mortar was the plan all along, right? Like most people, brick and mortar is like, oh, I want my own space, you know? But like, how did you see the progression of that? And like, 'cause some people would maybe not even start with the table.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I'm too good to start at a table.
Yeah.
You know, I got to at least have a cart or at least have, you know, a trailer or something. But like you were like, no, I'm doing it, whatever it takes to start.
Yeah. Perfection's not, you're never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to start now. I'm going to start selling things and figuring it out as I go. And I think that helped me because I learned as I went. And I knew I wasn't going to have a cart yet. I knew I wasn't going to have a brick and mortar yet. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to put up a table and figure it out. Humble yourself, y'all. Like, everybody has to start somewhere. And you gotta do it to try. And like, what if, especially with a service and like a product, I needed to see if people even liked the taste of my coffee or if they even liked the colors of my brand, if they even liked it. And if you like it, of course, that can be great. But like if your business depends on customers and their opinions and their taste, like you got to start somewhere. And so I did start off with a table, and I did that for about 3 months. And then I saved up enough money, and I did a Kickstarter that helped me save about $13,000 to then start my cart. My cart cost me $10,000, and then to build it, to paint it, to do everything, it was an additional $3,000. And then it was another investment, about $8,000 for the equipment, the espresso machine, cups, all that stuff. And so I did the table for 3 months, bought my cart, and then I did my cart for about 1.5 years. And then while I did that, I did pop-ups, I did events, I did as many things that I could to save up enough money to then start the idea of a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And then it took me about a whole nother 7 months of crowdfunding, door knocking, grant writing, pitches, all this stuff to then raise about $80,000 to start my brick and mortar. I didn't take out a loan. I just raised money and worked and tried to do as much as I could to raise that much money. It's very difficult of a process, but I just think, especially if you're in coffee, you just got to do it. And you should ask other people, like host a little dinner party at your house and serve them coffee and see how that goes. If you're afraid of like strangers, right? But again, the word fear comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And we all live in fear, and fear's not going to get you anywhere. Courage is going to get you somewhere. Determination's going to get you somewhere. And that factor of like, just do it is going to get you further than just like, I got to get ready for it. I got to get ready for it. No one's ready. No one's ever ready for anything. So then you should just do it.
Let's talk like, how have you taken advantage of social media to build Cafe, and how can other cafes do that?
Because I've come from a show business background, I look at social media as commercials. I look at every single post as an opportunity to tell a story, to promote my brand, to connect, to communicate, and it's free. It is a free commercial. And you cannot focus on the numbers, the likes, nothing. You just got to focus on, wow, I have the opportunity to sell something, to communicate something, to share something every day for free. For free. So why are you not posting all the time? I get it. I understand it is so hard to maintain and to keep up and to like da-da-da. But again, don't compare. Just think of it as a tool. It is a tool and it's free. It's free. So I post every day, all day if I can. And I had the benefit of time and the gift of time during the pandemic to build my brand on social media. I never focused on my followers. I focused on, meaning I didn't focus on the number of followers. I
Right.
focused on the followers that I had,
The people.
the people.
Yeah.
And I love Instagram because it's more community. It's more, the like local, at least for me. That's what I'm trying to do is communicate to this region and this city about Asian people and the narrative and like the culture behind the coffee. But I focus a lot on social media. I love social media. I think it's really fun. I think it's an outlet of creativity for me. And I love it because it's free. And it is something that I have in the palm of my hand and access to. Because during the pandemic, I had no way to meet people, I used that as like my tool to reach people.
Yeah.
I talked to people in that way. I asked for advice in that way. I reached out. I was like, come to this nail shop in Westport and come buy my cup of coffee. And the people that saw that came. So I was like, oh, this is the tool that I need to like communicate to people and tell people about what I need to do. So the many workshops that I've led for social media, I tell people again, it's a free commercial and you should be posting every single day because that's your opportunity. It's an opportunity to connect and to talk to people and to reach out to people, ask other people questions, follow people. I really love it. I love it because I utilize it as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't utilize it as like this like social pressure of trying to, I don't know, gain notoriety or whatever. I don't look at it like that. And I think a lot of people think of it in that way. And it's just simply not that for me anymore. It's a tool and a resource and a free one at that. And I really encourage people to think of it as free commercials. Like when someone wakes up, if they're looking at their phone, do they see your coffee shop open? Or when they're in their lunch break, like, are you posting something engaging or maybe asking them how they're doing?
Yeah.
So to me, it's a tool and I love it. I love it. I think it's an incredible resource when done correctly and when done healthily.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the big thing is healthily. Like, but what's crazy is healthily doesn't necessarily mean that you need to only post once a week. Like you can be healthy and posting 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Because it's perspective.
100%.
So, going back just a minute, you said, like, what'd you say? You were talking about what did you just say? You were talking about
Being commercials, being,
right after that.
communicating, it's a tool.
So like the idea of seeing it as a tool versus seeing it as like the social pressure that I need to be posting. The perspective that happens when you see it as more than it really is, which is a tool. Then you start to, perfectionism kicks in. Then you start to you only want to put out like polished stuff. And it actually limits how much you put out because you actually have the wrong perspective to begin with. Mm-hmm. Versus when you see it as simply a tool to build a business and as a tool to build a business. And that business is different for everybody, but like self-brand and all of that is still business, And so it's like, when you have the perspective of that, you're starting from a place of, oh yeah, I can post every day and it doesn't feel as strenuous on you or whatever, because you're just using it as a tool to benefit what you're doing, not necessarily this reflection of like who I am and
Right.
like that it's all about me. It's actually not about you. You're using it to build a business, but like a lot of us can't see it that way.
Right.
You know, the tool aspect of it.
Because I think it didn't start off that way. And I
Right.
think a lot of people got really accustomed to, oh, it's this like social pressure. And for me, it's like a simple way to connect. Like, I have a lot of friends that don't live here. I have a lot of people that I've met around the world that I want to show them what I'm up to. I want to promote certain things. People need to know what my hours are at my shop. It can be very simple. It doesn't have to be this like crazy thing. And I think because now so many people are diving into social media, it's a lot more curated. It's a lot more polished. Everyone has a camera. Everyone's an influencer. There's a lot of this like pressure. And I don't look at it like that because I'm like, I don't have time for that. I want to be creative. I want to have fun. I want to be out of pocket. I think it's hilarious. Like, do it for the bit. I just like, I take social media so unserious sometimes because it's just not that serious. It's not that deep. But that's me.
Yep.
It is me. And that's not everyone's journey. I understand it's not easy to have photos and to have videos and to create. I'm just a creator. So I love it. I love the artistry behind it. I love like challenging myself. I love writing. I enjoy every single post that I write. I enjoy interacting with people. But again, it's free real estate. Like, and it's important to understand as a business owner, it is one of the most important tools that you can have to just talk to someone about your business.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Well, what are some practical, for cafe owners who are maybe don't feel like they're showing up as much as they should, whatever, but let's not even go there. Cause like that's again, the wrong perspective. For the cafe owner that wants to take advantage of using social media as a tool to grow their business.
Yep.
What are some practical tips you have on, what should they be posting about? What should they be communicating to people? How did you guys do that? How do you do that now? Maybe what does the week look like as far as content? Like, how do you guys process all that?
I think coffee shop owners should always show their face. I think no matter how involved or not involved you want to be, I think people need to know who owns the company. So show your face. We need to hear what you sound like. Like, say something. I want to know what you sound like. I want to know what you look like. There has to be a human aspect to your company. Yeah. If it's just a bunch of photos of really cool latte art, like, it's not effective. That's not enough anymore. Yeah. We don't want to know what coffee is. We already know it. We already been there. Who owns it? Who's the person behind all these ideas? So that's my number one piece of advice is show your face and say something. It can be anything, but we need to hear your voice. Another thing is to post every day. It doesn't have to be crazy. It could just be a story. It could be on your main feed, but an activation a day will help you stay accountable to yourself and your brand. Yeah. Your brand deserves that. You deserve that. You deserve to promote yourself once a day in any way, shape, or form. I think also one helpful tool for me is to batch things. So how my shop works is we do one major photo shoot per quarter, and I pay my employees for it. I give them a list of things to bring. I have a pre-planned agenda, and I shoot all my content that one day, which means not all of it, but a majority of my content. So for example, I'll give you like live working example right now. Next week, I'm going to have one photo shoot where I plan Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, back to school, all of those activations. We film, we photo shoot, we do all of it in one day. I pay all my employees to do it because it is work. It's hard work. I have a photographer. I invest money in that. And but I love it. And but you can do that on a much smaller scale. You yourself can plan one day of the week to shoot everything you need to do, have everything, at least photos done, and then you can have that so that you're not panicking about what to do in the next month. Or you can have a writing session where you're like writing ideas, you take an hour of your day, batch ideas, work smarter, not harder. And so if social media is something that brings anxiety to you, then you need to lean in and plan and do better about it and ask people for help. So I batch stuff. I don't there are things that I do on the daily, but there are things that I pre-plan a lot. So that's something. And use Canva. Canva is an amazing app, an amazing tool. Lots of incredible templates. If you're not good at designing, if you're not good at visualizing, if you're not good at any of that kind of stuff, Canva pre-does it for you, and it's cute and it's so user-friendly, and it's free. That's something a resource I always tell people to use is Canva.
What percentage do you guys do content-wise? Or, there's the coffee shop side, there's also your personal side. But, like, what percentage on the cafe side are you guys doing more put together, like, shoots versus, like, more, like, shot on the phone kind of?
I'd say, like, 50-50, to be honest. A lot is done on the phone. A lot is done off the fly. I'm lucky that my whole team is a creative team, so everyone already has like nice cameras, nice equipment. They want to learn more about being creative, so I give a lot of people the creative outlet and permission to do that. But a lot of it is like 50% is pre-planned and curated, and the other 50% is spontaneous and just daily and on your phone. I run everything. So I post everything. I write all the captions. I direct all the photo shoots. I just give, I have 3 different photographers that I work with that are all API that I love. And they each have a different role with photography. One is the big overseeing big photo shoot photographer. The second one is like our product photographer and lifestyle photography. And then the third is like day to day. And so I've given them, and it's like they freelance and they, I'm not like paying them salary. It's like whatever they can do and whatever works within my means that month. If I can only afford an hour, I only hire an hour. I don't go beyond my means. Or if it can be a trade-off. Like if I help them network, if I help give them 5 clients, will they shoot for me for an hour for free? Like, but I'm always making sure that my photographers have the outlet and I'm always promoting them, but it's like 50-50. And I work with people who might not need money, but need exposure. I try to work with as many photographers as I can to be like, hey, do you have any spare time to shoot with me? Like, I know I can't pay you right now, but like maybe I can lead you to some leads, or maybe we can just work out a deal for some free coffee or, something like that. So I try to ask a lot of like new students or new people that are like, just like dipping their toes into it.
That's good. Super practical. Still with that, like, how did you find the people? So obviously it helps when some of your baristas and staff are also creative people. And a lot of times in a cafe setting, most baristas are also creative types who typically maybe do photo on the side or, have dabbled, they write, whatever. But at what point were you like, obviously coming from show business, you knew the value of production.
Yep.
So how does, again, this is kind of just a softball, but like tying showbiz back into it, like how does it full circle to where you're like, I see the value of putting this thing on and presenting this business as more than just a business.
Yeah.
Like it really is entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because I find humor in making everything a bit. Like I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I just take a lot of joy in being like, we're a coffee shop, but like not a coffee shop. But I think I've always wanted my social media to be extra. I've always wanted it to have this presence of like a reality show, again, for the bit, and again, because I think it's funny. But I also think like, as a creative person, because I didn't have any shows or anything that I could pursue, that like my social media is my outlet. So I view it as my artistic palette. I see it as, how can I create and how can I express myself in a cool, different way, and promote my business? Like, how do we put all those things together in like the perfect scenario? And I don't always get it right. I don't always do it great. I don't always plan well, but like, again, it's a canvas, right? And it's okay to mess up. It's okay to like figure it out as you go. No one is perfect. No one is doing that.
Yeah.
And if they are, they're lying and they're faking it, and it's not real and it's not effective. Or it's AI and it's a robot or something, you know?
Which is possible now.
Yeah, it's possible. But I don't know. I've always wanted it to be curated and polished and produced and bring an element of show business to it, because that's just how I view business. I view business in that way. But I think that if you are struggling with social media and you're struggling with that, the best tool is to reach out to those who you admire. You never know. DM people more. There are more humans behind that phone than you think. And more people are willing to help than you think. And I have always been someone that has asked for help. I believe it is not weak to ask for help. I think because many people have asked me for help, and I love when people ask me for help because I want to help so bad. And I would hope that other people have that quality. And so I just DM people. I ask, I shoot for the moon. The worst thing that can happen is that they don't read it or they say no. And that's what you started off with, is nothing.
Right.
You only have something to gain. So I absolutely suggest you DM people, you email them, you Google them, you DM them on their Instagram, and be like, oh my God, I love your photography. What will it take for me to work with you? What will you teach me? Can I just sit? Can I just be a fly on the wall on your next shoot? Can I be a fly on your wall in your coffee shop? Can I mirror you? Can I shadow you and see what it's like to own a coffee shop or to do whatever business you want to do? Like, ask those that are doing what you want to do for help.
Yeah.
And they're going to help you. I can't tell you how many people have been like, how do you do your social media? I'm like, here, just come and follow us on our photo shoot. And they'd be like, oh my God, it was so helpful to know what you've done. Ask for help, y'all. Like, people are out there.
It's part of the putting yourself out there process. Like when, we talk about, even in the last episode, because this will be part 2. In part 1, we talked, a little bit in like the concept of like when you were starting, the perspective of just having to put yourself out there. But this is a great example of what that can look like practically. Like,
Yes.
It can look like just sending some DMs.
Yes.
And all you're doing is there's a respectful way to do it. Like you're saying, there's a way to do it that's showing value to the person you're reaching out to. It's not like you're just trying to like take.
Yeah.
You're being thoughtful in the way that you're presenting it. But that's a very practical part of like, I feel like of just reaching out and just saying, hey, I love what you do. I would love to be better at what I do. Can I just come watch? Like that's part of it. And again, you just never know who that person is, if they'd be willing to share with, their network. And it's just part of the even the networking side of things too. It's
a good practice for asking for help. It's a good practice in maybe networking. It's a good practice in what if they said, actually, yeah, and also I've been needing an assistant. Do you want to just work with me for about a few months? I can teach you the ropes while you help me with it. You just never know.
Yeah.
Unless you ask. And if that person's like, you know what, I don't have time for this, but I know this person and they need help. Like, it is just taking that risk. It's a baby risk though. And if you are afraid of it, you can streamline that by pre-writing in your email a draft. And then, like I said, copy and paste it. Make it easy to DM somebody. I have this message on my notes. I really want to message this person. Copy and paste, bro. Like, there's a smarter way to do that too.
Right.
You know,
There's a system.
And I literally have done it so many times. Like, wrote out all these things, and I'm like, okay, these are the top 10 coffee shops in the country that I love. I'm gonna write them all these things, and I'm gonna be like, can you answer these questions for me? Can I Zoom with you? Can I come visit you? Like, and majority of them have said yes.
Yep.
Majority of them have been like, absolutely, I will absolutely help you.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? What are you going to lose? Literally. And maybe because I am like, can't get lower than what I already am, people. Might as well like gain some knowledge, or at the very least, I put myself out there, and I should be proud of myself for that.
Absolutely. No, that's really good. Well, okay, so another really big thing that you've really built here, as well as, so for example, the other day at the KC Current game, they had you out on the field. Was it like during halftime? What was it?
Yeah.
And they gave you the title of hometown hero.
Yes. Yes.
Jackie, who would have thought 3 years ago? There's a lot of reasons for that, right? One is because, again, you've given everybody the gift of your vulnerability over the past 3 years. But I think you've also been really intentional to build a community that feels inclusive. And in doing that, you've created a space for people who look like you, who think like you, who have similar backgrounds, who also maybe just approach life like you do, meaning they're just open and inclusive and whatever. So like you just attract those kind of people. But like that's a huge thing. Like what's going on in your head like when that's happening? Like I'm sure there's like it's like awesome, but I'm sure you're also like there's also moments of like doubting yourself, like am I, you know what I mean? But like how like just walk me through all of that, because that's just insane. That's such a huge honor.
The whole time I was like, I'm not even from here, y'all. And y'all are calling me the hometown hero. That's not even my hometown. And what? How? A lot of things were going through my head. It was my first professional soccer game that I ever attended. So that was crazy. And then the fact that I got to bring like a bunch of Asians to a soccer game together to celebrate. It was during API month as well. It was a lot of emotions happening. One of the main emotions I was trying to sit in was being proud of myself. I tend to not marinate in that too much.
Yeah.
I don't know, childhood trauma, whatever, but I am always focusing on next. Yep. So I was trying to be present, and I was trying to just like pat myself on the back for that accomplishment. It was huge. Yep. And it made me feel very good about the direction that my life is leading into, because many times in my life, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why do I keep pushing this narrative? And that was a really good moment to sit in the, yes, you are doing something good up until this point, at least. And you can celebrate that. I didn't know they would be bringing me on the field. I didn't even know what was going on, honestly. Like a rep from the KC Current texted me and said, are you free on this Friday? And I was like, yeah, like why? I literally thought it was because they wanted me to serve coffee in an event. And they're like, no, we want to bring you to a game. You can invite people. And I was like, oh, cute. I've never been to a game. You know, each step of the way, it was just like more shocking and more shocking the more I found out what was going to happen. And then the day happened and we were like, what? I get to be on the field? Like, we get to be walked down? What? I'm going to be on the Jumbotron? Like, what is happening? Why is this happening? I still feel that way. But it was a huge honor. It was huge for me to see the name Nguyen be put up on a Jumbotron. And one of my best friends her name's Jackie Nguyen, and she was there. And I remember her reposting on Instagram being like, I can't believe I got to see my last name on a Jumbotron at a soccer game. Like, I never thought I would see that.
In Kansas City.
In Kansas City.
In the Midwest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And me being a female and me being first generation. And
Yeah.
just, I felt so good about the work that I've done that it has been able to reach a professional soccer team and reach a certain point of Kansas City where they not just recognize it, but appreciate it and then make space for it. I was like, this is some crazy batshit crazy stuff that I never thought, I never even intended, but I think that makes it even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't plan that. I would have never imagined me doing that. Just like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And it like, then it again confirms that if you just follow your heart and you follow like yourself, the craziest things can just happen that are just so unexpected. And you just got to keep following your own little like guiding light, right? It could just be dim and it could just be like right here at the forefront of your face, but like it will lead to so many things you never thought. And that was one of those moments for me. I was like, this is not real, but it is real and it's my life. And yeah, I was very moved and honored, and just like, I was also proud of Casey Current that day because I was like, damn, like y'all are doing the real work.
Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't a moment for me. It was a moment for the Asian community, for my shop, and for like Kansas City and like the things that it's capable of.
Yeah.
And following through. It's like, yes, this is when change happens, is like when people are starting to follow through.
Yeah.
And not be performative and be real people and be holding real space and real time and showing effort. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy what happens when you just use language follow through. And I think it's only been 3 years, right? So it's like there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yep.
There's still, a lot of things that I'm sure you want to do, and a lot of that looks like continuing to build an incredible team.
Yeah.
And impacting the community in those ways, but also through quality, coffee and merchandise and all the things that are involved with running a business, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that's such a cool moment to say 3 years in, we've already had this much impact, and it's because you've busted your butt for 3 years.
Yes.
And to be able to just sit in that and just we've done good work, and it's been unto something, and for that to be acknowledged on a stage like that is just super important. So equally, again, even the Casey Current, to create a moment for that, that's really, it's very encouraging. And I truly believe that the best is yet to come for Kansas City. I really do think that I wouldn't call it an underdog, because it's there are things that are happening and there are places that are a lot worse off. You know
Truly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a really great community. And I don't know, I just feel like there's some momentum lately,
I mean, there will be, because I'm here.
That's right.
If I'm living somewhere, it's, and I don't mean that in an egotistical, yeah, I say that to be funny, but I will not live in a space that can't make space for people that look like me or that think like me or that want a better world, and at least that I hope to live in. And I don't think, because I won't allow that, there's a lot of people that won't allow it either. And for some reason, it happens to be Kansas City right now in my life. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of transplants here too that feel that way. And I think that all of us together have this, you, me, we just feel it. And I think that we will not allow for it to be any different. And if we're taking up space and if we're creating things to put out in the world for people to watch, it will happen.
Yep.
Yeah. I will not live in a place and in this country truly that can't allow me to be me fully. So yeah, I think Kansas City is it's awesome. I love it. And I just love how affordable it is right now.
Yes, it's affordable. It's got an incredible food scene. The art scene, I feel like since COVID, the art scene has started to kind of bounce back a little bit. But there's so much opportunity, I think, in the next decade.
Like y'all sleeping. If you're not here, y'all sleeping. And a lot of my friends from New York came out here and was like, oh, that's the reaction I get. And I'm like, yeah, see, y'all don't know, but it's happening. So
And people will start to find out. And then that's when growth will happen.
For sure.
But we have the opportunity to, and a lot of people, I think, because we say things like, oh, there's no industry here, or there's no whatever, maybe from on the like art side of things. Obviously, there's a huge coffee industry here.
Yes.
Which has been great for you. People love coffee here. And there was already really great coffee culture before. You're doing something really unique, which is, I think, part of the reason why you've been so successful, because it's just refreshing, you know?
You.
But there was already an expectation in the city for like good coffee.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was already kind of primed for what you were doing, and you just kind of brought yourself to it. But for people who are like in, photo, video, whatever, graphic design, and we say things like, oh, there's no like film industry here, or there's no, clothing industry here, or there's no, and yeah, you could look at it that way, or you could choose to say, well, I'm going to be a part of starting one.
That's what I did.
It's a perspective thing.
If there's something not here, that means it's needed. Mm-hmm. So you got to create it. It doesn't mean, oh, then I'll just go somewhere else. It's like, no, create it here. Like make it. Yep. Why not? We're already creating. Mm-hmm. Then make the space, make the time. Like, it's an opportunity. It's a huge opportunity. Like, okay, like, yeah, we already know New York has that. We already know LA has that.
Right.
Like, why not make it here where we already are at? Mm-hmm. We have space. We just need to come together to create that,
Right.
I think it'll happen. Mm-hmm. It just will take a lot of voices and a lot of time and persistence and tenacity. Mm-hmm. I'm trying.
Absolutely.
I'm really trying. Like, I have to have art. I have to have, a studio. I have to have these things to feel alive. Mm. And I know there are other artists out there too. And so it's coming. It's coming. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's just not like on the map yet, but It's coming.
Yeah. There are lots of people doing it. And lots of people who, fortunately you can do so much remote work now that it's like you can be based in a place like this and still have this be your hub. And if you have to go out on bigger projects, they can fly you out or whatever. It's not like, but it is a great hub.
Yes.
And I really do believe a great place for a lot of future industries that aren't maybe as big as they are in some other places, but I think it's just only going to continue to grow.
God, I hope so, because I want to be here for it.
Yes. And be able to say you were a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Noah.
Thanks for taking the time to do this, for real. I'm grateful for just what you're doing.
Thank you.
And that you're creating an inclusive space that celebrates people, that puts people first, that you're really gifting all of us the gift of your vulnerability at all times, really, truthfully. And I'm really excited for you and for whatever that looks like next. And if that means doing what you're doing and maybe opening a few more locations soon or expanding whatever, but like I'm just excited for you to keep just owning your space and owning what you feel like you're called to do.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see all that you do, and just to be able to cheer you on and be in your corner.
Thank you.
And champion you.
You've always been an amazing friend and an amazing ally and supporter, and like, thank you for creating a space for me to be vulnerable. That's just as important.
Yeah.
I can always be vulnerable on my platform, but it's nice and refreshing to be vulnerable on someone else's.
Yeah.
And for you to give that space to many other creatives to do that. We need more space like that to be real, like real. Not like, oh, I'm just going to promote my shit. But it's like, no, like, who are you as a person? So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for today. Again, thanks for the gift of your vulnerability. And I can't wait to connect with you again.
Part 3, 4, 5, 6 coming soon.
Within the next 6 months.
Yes. I'm down.
Thanks, Jackie.
Of course. Anytime.